Yeah, that's right, I'm in my pajamas. Because it's nighttime.
Join the team.
I do want to drop on the team
an epic level giveaway.
Hey team, this is the McGuire Review, and we're going to take a look at a brand new game that is hitting Kickstarter literally today, and that day would be November the 5th, 2019, and it is called Titans. Bear the box, please. All right, thank you. So we've got from Lucas Wozniak. Now, he also did Valhalla. We did that game on the channel as well. Another excellent, excellent title. Team, hopefully you got in on that one. If you didn't, it's going to be available soon here. But we have Titans, which is his newest one here. And the company is Go On Board. This is an entire prototype set, which you're seeing on the table. So the production version is going to be very different than what you're seeing here. And we will go through the differences that you're going to see with the production version. This is a 1 to 4 player game, 13 plus and 80 to 160 minutes. So it is solo, okay? It's a 1 to 4 player game. Bear, if you will hold that. Before we get started here and what we're going to run through, I do want to drop on the team an epic level giveaway on Titans. You know what that means. Hit that like, hit the subscribe, comment below. Be a team member. You got to subscribe to the channel. Comment below, and right before the Kickstarter is over, just a few days before it's over, I will announce the winner. Bear will hit the button of fate, and one lucky team member will be selected, and you will win for free a deluxe edition of the Kickstarter version of this game. So check it out on Kickstarter. That's what you'll win. Don't wait. If you really want this game, if you want to back this game, if this is the type of game for you, go back the game. That's why I let everybody know a few days before who the winner is. If you are the winner, then you can back that out of the campaign and just back at the $1 level. That way you're just in the system and they got all your information, and then we'll handle it from there. But that's the giveaway. You can get a deluxe version of this game, which is going to be pretty sweet. You can check that out on the Kickstarter page. We'll have links in the description below. Obviously, once it goes live. Okay, so that's the giveaway. I would recommend follow me on Twitter as well, because I do announce those things on Twitter. I also pin them to the comments of the video. But if you just go for the comments on the video, you got to sort of, there's no way to let you know that. You kind of have to come back and just keep checking to find that comment. So it's up to you. If you follow me on Twitter, it's a lot easier. I can just make that communication, and you'll know right away by getting those notifications. All right? So please follow me on Twitter. It is very beneficial if you are part of the team and you follow a lot of the videos that we do. It's the best form of communication. Now, let's get into this game that we have here. We've already gone through how many players. It's a 1 to 4. We've gone through who's bringing this title to us. Now, this is what I'm going to do for this video. I am going to focus on the mechanics of this game. I'm going to focus on how those mechanics work and how the game plays out and why it's fun. Okay? If you are interested in a how to play, how to set it up, what the rules, every rule is, they have created a video that's right on the Kickstarter page. If you are interested in a full-scale playthrough, they have created that right on the Kickstarter page, and I highly recommend that you go and you watch those videos if you want to know exactly how to set up the board, or if you want to know and watch a full playthrough, because I do one, and it's a fantastic video. I would highly recommend that after you're done watching this video, you go right to the Kickstarter page if you're not already there, and you watch the full playthrough that they have done. It's a fantastic playthrough, and it very quickly, within 15 minutes, you've got the whole hang of the game. You know exactly how the game is played. It makes a lot of sense. It's very simple, okay? But there's a lot of strategy and tactics that are involved in this title, and that's why I really like it. So we're going to spin around here, and we're just going to very quickly take a look at what we've got on the table, and then we're going to start talking about why this game is so cool. So we'll start right over here. We've basically got some combat dice. You've got different dice for different types of units, and you can see here that every one of the different nations, not really factions, they are truly nations. This does have some historical reality to it. We do have the Ottomans, the Polish, the Swedish, as well as the Russians, and those various different troops. Every one of these models are going to be different in the production version. For our Kickstarter prototype here, they're all the same. I mean, outside of our Titans, which each one It does have a Titan, which I thought was a really cool aspect of this war game. However, the basic units are all the same here for the prototype. They're going to be totally different in the production version. You'll be able to see that on the Kickstarter page, and they look very sweet. I cannot wait to have the board filled with all those different types of miniatures for each one of the nations. Okay, so these are going to be combat dice. These are only going to be used when you get into combat, which is going to happen quite a bit once you start to play this game. Because the game primarily is a war combat game. You've got units on a board, and you're going to be focusing on moving those units and trying to get as much territory taken over as you can, and as well as trying to gain victory points to be able to win the game. Okay, we do have some tokens here. They're going to be used if it isn't a full 4-player game. You're going to place these tokens on various different areas of the map to just indicate those regions are essentially off of the map for that gameplay. You're also going to have some tokens that are going to represent things we call strongholds. And those are going to be just special different areas around the map that players can get onto the map, which will help them when they get into combat-based situations. You'll be able to draw some support cards if you have one of those strongholds and you are combating within a certain region. So these are just basically like forts that you can kind of build and have as reinforcements when you get into combat. And that's going to be their purpose. We do have the victory points right up here. It looks kind of like these little coins, like money, but those are actually victory points. And you will be acquiring those at the end of each one of the rounds of the game. The game does include 3 rounds for the whole game, and the rounds are dictated per this little deck right here. And these are the order cards. These are probably one of the most unique mechanics in this game, and it's probably the reason why I like this game so much. You may be thinking, wow, this is another combat area control game, and you'd be right, it is. However, it does have some mechanics that I haven't necessarily seen executed this way in other titles. There's been some titles where the mechanics are similar to what you'll see here, but not exactly executed the way that this is. So it's really a trifecta between the order card mechanic, the support cards, as well as each nation has its own nation deck. Those 3 things really work together in conjunction, and that's what makes this game, I think, so great. Okay, so we've got the 3 rounds for the game. At the end of each round, you're going to kind of do what you would basically do. You sort of refresh the board and reset some things, and you would collect victory points at the end of each round. You're also going to be getting victory points during the round based on different things that you do. Okay, so there are 3 rounds is what this is for. There are a few other iconography that you'll see here on the board. It's essentially just sort of laying out what a round looks like. It's real convenient here on the board, as well as what you would do when you reset the round there. What we've got right up top here is our secret mission cards. These are going to be given to the players. Each player will have 3 of these, and they will be different things that you'll try to achieve over the course of the game. Now, I don't want anybody to get the thought that this game is one of these where you're going to be doing area control, you're also going to be going on secret missions, it is very focused. The core mechanic of this game and what you are going to be doing when you play this game is your guys are on the board and you are basically playing military. You are moving units around and trying to conquer as much as possible. Now, through that, you may be achieving things like win a battle with an army that doesn't include a Titan against an army that does include a Titan, and you'll get some victory points for that. Or control regions with your units. You'll get some victory points. Or win a battle as an attacker with a smaller army than the opponents. So you're going to find that these things that you're going to have aren't going to be so unique that you have to sort of go off the path of what you would normally be doing to be able to achieve. They're things that more than likely will play out naturally as you are figuring out how to most strategically conquer this map. You're just going to have to pay attention and make sure that when you make moves, can you have the option of being able to achieve one of these things as well for some extra victory points. So those are all these are going to do. I don't want folks to feel like it really adds this huge other swing into the game, because I don't feel that it does. I think it's just sort of a little extra bonus victory point type thing on the side that you can utilize as you're playing strategically with your units. So I like that. They didn't take that too far. It's sort of a little icing on the top, a nice little mechanic to use as you're primarily focusing on your war game. So if you like war games, you're really, really going to love this title. Okay? Then what we have here is our support cards. And these are cards that are going to allow us to do lots of different things. They have different types of iconography on them. I'm not going to go through all of it. You can watch the videos that they have on the Kickstarter page to see exactly what these do. But they will indicate on them what types of units you need to have to be able to activate them. And then they will give you a action there on the bottom that you can take. And you can use these cards, and you'll start the game with a few of these cards, and you'll draw one of these cards every time it's your turn. But you can use these cards to actually go into combat, to take various different actions around the board. You can also use them as currency to purchase your nation cards. And I love that mechanic because you have to decide as a player, do I hold on to these cards and use them within my combat and various different things that I'm going to need to do if I get into battle? Or do I cash them in and use them? And when the game starts, you will flip, 4 of these over, and they will be accessible to all players. And all players will be able to see what's out there. And then when you take your turn, you will select one of them and then replenish it. That's another thing I really like is everything except for the cards that are going to be, your support cards that are in your hand. Those are the only things that are going to be hidden from other players. Your nation cards that you've unlocked are going to be accessible to all players. The order cards are going to be accessible to all players. We'll talk about this mechanic here in a minute because I think it's one of the most fantastic mechanics of this game. And the support cards are going to be accessible to all players at all times. And I like that because now not only is it sort of this hidden game where, you only know what is accessible to you as a player, everybody else knows as well. So you're constantly thinking about, well, I might want this card, but I know for a fact that one of my opponents is definitely going to go for this card, so I may want to go ahead and get that off the table and take that card, and maybe I don't even use it for its abilities, but I use it as currency to cash in to get myself another nation card to build out my tableau. And that's where the nation cards come into play. Every single one of our nations have a deck of nation cards, and these are very powerful abilities that are active once you pay for them and they go into play. So you will always know the top 3 cards of your deck. You'll always be able to look at those. And you'll look at those when you're ready to purchase cards. And it will say right up in the top corner exactly how many cards you have to cash in to be able to get this card and activate it. And then you will have the choice of taking one of those cards that are left and putting it at the very bottom, or you can put the top 2 right back on the top. Okay, and then you'll be able to see the next 3, which you already know 2 of them. It'll be just one more new one when you go to purchase again. And that's how those cards and that deck is going to work. And that just allows you to build out a tableau with extra abilities that will affect your nation for the rest of the game. And it's generally going to be things like you'll get extra combat dice, or you'll be able to draw extra cards, or you'll be able to get, better Titan dice, or there's all different types of things that you're going to be able to do as you play the game. And I like that because not only do you have each nation's special ability, because every one of the nation cards are different. Each one of them does have a custom special ability. Each one of their Titans has a custom special ability, as well as you can build out these tableaus. And you're going to shuffle this at the beginning of every single game, so every game is going to be different. You may play the Ottoman Empire, and because of the order of this nation deck, you may only activate 3 or 4 of these cards over the course of the game and customize your nation with certain types of cards, where if you play another game, you shuffle this deck up, you're going to have completely different types of cards that you can customize your nation with. And I really like that. I like that aspect. It adds to the replayability. So not only can you play this game over and over and over as a different nation, you can play the same nation over and over, and every time it's going to have a little bit of a different feel because of the customization of these nation cards. Okay, there is going to be some of these little banners here. These are essentially just used to mark territories that you take over. Whenever you have units on the board, and we'll put some units out here, put a few units out. when you move your last unit from an area that you used to be, so if we were to use these 2 infantry units here and just sort of move them up here, we would move out of this unit. We would no longer have anybody in that region. We would then mark that region and say, you know what, we own that region. You don't necessarily have to have a person there. You just would have had to control it at one point, which means you have more units there, and you would have been able to move out of it and nobody else is there. There was no combat, there's nobody else there. You now own that area. And at the end of rounds, you're going to get victory points for the various areas that you control and own, whether it's you have the most units in that area or it was an area that you moved out of. So that's another nice mechanic of this particular war game, is that you not only are going to be going for trying to secure regions on this map, but you're also going to be trying to protect other areas that you've moved out of that you now have control of. So you'll find that you may want to start to get, units. The bottom of his little cleaver there fell off. I gotta glue that back on. But you may have units that move out, and you may want to start to sort of move them around and kind of protect the various areas and shield those areas that you would have conquered over the course of time within that round. So at the end, then you get all those victory points. So I like that as well. It kind of adds some fun to the game and makes you think about how you want to strategically move around the map. And then it doesn't just become this sort of chaotic, well, I'm going to move here and I'm going to move here, and oh, there's somebody there, so let's move everybody in there. It gets more strategic from that perspective of trying to think about where you move and where you sort of position yourself to continue to defend these areas that you have owned. Because if one of the other units ever to end up moving into there, then that banner flag would be removed, and it obviously would not give you any victory points at the end of the round. So that's important to remember as you are playing. All right, and then every area is going to start with their own sort of capital or stronghold, and that'll just be positioned, on the map wherever your unit, wherever your nation starts, and that'll be kind of your main capital area. And that's what these are going to be used for here. Now, a lot of these different tokens that I've got are going to be represented with really cool miniatures in the production version. Again, this is just a prototype, so it's got kind of some little, just flags and tokens and these types of things. But, the strongholds have little miniatures, and there's a first player, instead of, where to go? I've got it somewhere here. It's a little crown. But instead of that, you'll have a really cool miniature, just really neat. So there will be much more miniatures than what you're seeing here, and miniatures that will even represent various different land units, much like our strongholds. All right, let's get right into this awesome mechanic here, and then we're going to look at what a game turn is. So this mechanic here is really, really cool. These are the order cards. So again, as we discussed, this is the clock. This is really the timer that indicates when we go to the next round. How it's going to work is these go here. This is the discard pile right here. So you're going to go ahead and you're going to start, and these are all going to be accessible to all the players. All the players can see them. You'll have one row here that's kind of ghosted out, and you'll have one row here that has these red symbols. And you will load those up on that. So you're only going to get a few flows of this. So I'll show you how it works. If it was my turn, the first thing I would do is I would select an order card. And that is basically what I'm going to do on my turn. So I would come here and I would look at all these symbols and I would say, you know what? And you have to select from the red here. These aren't accessible. So I'm going to select this one right here. All right? And I would look at that and I would say, okay, well that means I can do all three of these things. I can do one of them, two of them. It's up to you as a player. Well, it's early in the game. I might want to do all three of them. So I can move an infantry one space. So I could take one of my infantry people and I could move them out of space if I wanted to. I could move my Titan. Titan's the big one here. Take my Titan and I could move him out if I wanted to. Or I could choose to say, you know what, I'm going to move him into here. And then I can add to the board any type of unit I want. And that's how you recruit more of your units onto the board. So let's say I wanted to recruit one of my artillery guys here. I can bring him in anywhere that I want, that it's either somewhere I control or it's somewhere that I already have units. So let's say I want to bring him right in here with this lonely infantry unit to give him some more support and backup, because he obviously would have dice that would be able to be more powerful in a combat. And, this guy's kind of all by his lonesome self. And that's what I'm going to do for my order, and then I'm going to put that in the discard pile. I'm not going to shift these down. I'm not going to refresh it. I'm going to leave it blank. Now, this is where it gets interesting, team, because, again, everything is accessible to not only me as a player, but everyone else around the table. So I can see what is going to be available to everybody else as well. And that may dictate which card I decide to select, much like we talked about with our support cards here. Okay, so we've made our order. Now we're going to go to B, which is combat. Well, there's no combat to take place just because of our little demo here. And then we're going to go to C, which is I'm going to draw a support card. So as you know what, I'm going to take this one. Now you will refresh that right away, and that's going to go into the hand of that player. And then we're going to have the option to purchase nation cards. Oh, and when you do draw a card, you can take it from the top of the deck if you don't like any of these. That's up to you. Then you can purchase some nation cards, and then you can reactivate your Titan. If your Titan was to fall in a combat and the Titan was back on your board, you could bring that Titan back into play. Titans never, quote-unquote, die. They never go away. They just leave the board if they're defeated, and they come back to the board to help you again. That's how Titans work. All right, and that would be the whole turn. Then it would be the next player's turn. The next player may say, you know what, I'm going to select this one right here, which allows me to move up to 4 units, 1 area. So I'm going to pull that in, and let's just say that I have these units right here, and let's just put them right here for our example, okay? Not necessarily exactly where they would be. Let's put them right here, and it allows me to move them all in. So I would go 1, 2, 3, 4, I'd move them all into this area, and this order card will allow me to do that. Now, this player is like, looks like they're coming in for a combat, and they've got 2 artillery, an infantry, and a Titan. I've got 2 cavalry, a Titan. You know what? I might want to move these guys in maybe upon my next turn into this area, and then maybe just force this unit to try to come in, or then I would go in and attack with hopefully a little bit more. But that player may have some secrets in their hand. They might have nation cards built out that are making their empire a little bit stronger based on what they have out. So we're going to have to be careful with that. Okay? Same thing, we're going to see if there's combat. There's not. We're going to then draw one of these cards. We're going to replace it. It's going to go into our hand. We are then going to see, do we want to purchase a nation card? We would already have 3 of these cards to start the game. So, this player may want to go to their nation cards and say, all right, what do we got here? You know what? I am going to, let's see here. I'm going to purchase this card right here that says we have to have infantry, and we get an extra cavalry dice, and it costs us 2 of our support cards if we want to buy it. So I'm going to activate that, put it on my tableau, and then I'm going to cash in 2 of my support cards, and I would have 2 support cards because I would have started the game with 3 of these, and I'd cash those in, and those would go to the discard pile here, and then I'd be able to do that. And then I would check to see if my Titan was damaged, needed to be allocated to the board. It's not. It's standing strong, ready to go. Then this is going to continue player after player, and you can see just how fast these turns are playing out. It's another thing I really like about this game. You aren't bogged down on each one of the turns. They aren't these long, drawn-out, well, I could do this or I could do that. It's very, very straightforward, and it's driven based on this mechanic right here. This is the core, what are you going to do? And then you can use the cards in your hand and the nation cards that are on your empire to sort of offset and help maybe what you choose here. But I love the fact that what you have to do is right here. It's just like, okay, select one of them and do that. It really, really speeds the turns of the game and makes it way more engaging. We're going to go another player's turn, and then the last player will choose one of these 2, and then that will be it. And then these will get wiped off the board. It won't go until the very last one. Once there's 2 left, if it's your turn, you choose one of them, and then it gets wiped off the board, and they go there. Then what happens upon the next turn is all of these now cycle in, and then this is now replenished and refilled. And what's cool about that is the fact that you now not only see all of the cards that are going to be accessible until those run out, you also see the ones that are coming behind it. So now you can start thinking a little bit longer term on, well, I know I'm going to have so many turns before this runs out, and then I know what's back here. So I may want to like select one of these, then select one of these, and then that's the one that I'm going for. That may play out. That may not play out. You may get lucky and be able to get the card that you want, or you may not. And that's why all these cards, they have different types of symbols, and you don't have to use them all. You may be left with a card that has the symbol that you really want, maybe just not all of them. Maybe you're not really interested in the bottom and the top of this card, but you definitely want to move your cavalry, and that's something that you wanted to do. You were making a rush with a bunch of cavalry. Maybe you tried to summon cavalry to the board and make kind of a rush with that unit. So that's what I love about this game, is just this fun mechanic when it comes down to this order board. And I really thought when I got this game out of the box and I started to play it, that's where it really came through and shined for me, is with the use of this mechanic and the use of taking these support cards and being forced as a player to either hang on to them to use them for the actions that they provide, or use them as currency to build out a stronger nation. Okay, team, that's it. That's all we're going to go over in this video. I really wanted to make sure that everyone understood what a round looked like. I wanted to make sure you saw that it plays out fast. I wanted to make sure that you know it is a solo game as well. It is a 1 to 4 player game. And it is an extremely fun tabletop war gamer game. If you are a tabletop wargamer, you're going to like this game. So I'm talking to the wargamers out there right now. I wouldn't just look at this as a board game. This truly is a tabletop war game, and it is packaged in a board game format. So it's really designed well, and I think you're going to get that tabletop wargaming experience out of this title. All right, team, don't forget about the giveaway, and don't forget, go to the Kickstarter page, watch the playthrough. If you don't want to watch the how to play, we did cover quite a few of the rules in this little run-through, this mechanics run-through, but the full playthrough is really going to lock it in for you, I believe, when you watch them play the game and go through a full round, and you can see how the different mechanics really play out, especially when they get into combat. Combat is very simple as well. Once you get into an area, each of the nations is going to roll various different types of dice depending on the actual units that are in that area, and then you're going to get able to pull in more dice. You might get some re-rolls. You'll get different types of special things based on your nation, your nation's ability, and again, that customization of that tableau build-out. So don't always think when you rush into combat, just because you have a stronger little unit that you're running into that battle with, that you're going to come out the victor. Be careful. May not come out the victor based on someone else's strategy of how they've positioned their nation. Okay? Yes! Alright, Kickstarter goes live today. Go check it out. This is a definite recommendation. Don't forget about that giveaway. Hit that like, click the subscribe button to join the team. Keep rolling them crits. This has been the McGuire Review, and we'll see you next time, man. Let's roll!